Lobster Newburg, Eggs Benedict, Delmonico steak, chicken a la king, baked Alaska, all invented here back in the 1800s. All still on the menu in some form. People's eating habits change, so you're always trying to bring those dishes into the next century and keep them so people want to keep eating them. The Delmonico brothers had a tendency to name dishes after customers, and they had regular customers, Mr. and Mrs. Benedictine, I believe was the last name, and they would come every Saturday, and they were bored with what was being offered. So they had asked the Delmonico brothers if they could come up with something new and different. Charles Ronhofer said no problem, he would come up with something. So he came up with Eggs Benedict, the ham, the eggs, the bread, the hollandaise sauce, and eventually they named the dish after Mr. and Mrs. Benedictine, and it stayed for 170 some odd years. Some of the techniques have obviously become more advanced. There's sous vide cooking and low temperature cooking. They didn't have that type of technology obviously back then. Even just to think, how did they do baked Alaska back in the 1800s with no ice cream machines? And now we have ice cream machines. We have freezers. We have quick blast freezers that freeze things in 10-15 minutes. So the way people eat has changed so much back in the 1800s. Health-wise, people are more conscious of how they're eating, as well as they want to know what they're eating and where it comes from. Where back then, they didn't have that choice and they didn't have that information available to them. The Delmonico steak back in the 1800s was whatever cut was available. Today, the Delmonico steak is the ribeye, a boneless ribeye. We do a lot of raw dishes, tuna tartare. We do a lot of ceviches and different things like that. The food industry, it changes all the time. The economy changes it, the stock market changes it, everything changes it. Our business stays pretty consistent, so hopefully it stays that way for another 100 years.